Hey guys, how you doing? So for the interview that I did, I wanted to focus on Mexican and Hispanic culture as a whole. I know in one of the recent forum topics, I talked about how being from Arizona, I was immersed in that culture when I was living in Tucson, which has a very heavy Mexican and Hispanic community. And I got to learn a whole lot. I got to meet some really amazing people, and I just wanted to learn a little bit more about it. So I talked to my friend Gonzo, Daniel Gonzalez, we call him Gonzo, about his family. His family is originally from Mexico. He told me that his great grandfather on his mother's side came over here to the U.S. during something called the Bracero program. And what that was, basically, his grandpa got noticed for his hard work that he was doing in Mexico, and they brought over a bunch of hardworking individuals to the U.S. to do work agricultural based. So he got a chance to do that, and then from there, the person who he was working for on that farm, that the owner there that had hired him actually helped his family come over, and he got them their citizenship as well, and that's kind of their background on how the Gonzalez family got to the U.S. I asked him what were some of the challenges that him and his family have faced being here. And he talked about the older generation, his grandparents, his great grandparents, some of his aunts and uncles. They have trouble speaking fluent English. So within the family, it's not a problem. He speaks pretty much fluent Spanish. The rest of his family does as well because that's what they were taught growing up. But communicating with them within the family can be a challenge here and there, but mostly just outside of the family. They have issues. I mean, going out, it's hard to go get a lot of things done when you don't speak English or really well English, or when people don't understand Spanish well enough to help you and get things accomplished. The next question I asked him was, what are some of the culture-specific traditions you and your family celebrate? So the biggest thing he said was Easter, and that obviously that's something that we here in the U.S. celebrate, the majority of us. But he said his family has always been Catholic, very strong Catholic-oriented family, and Easter's always a very big celebration for them. So not specific Mexican culture tradition, but that's just something that stood out to him within his family. I asked him what are some of his favorite meals that his family makes, some of the cultural meals, and he told me that chili verde with rice and beans was one of the go-tos of the family. They have that at a lot of family gatherings. They do it for like Christmas, holidays, things like that. That's kind of their go-to, and he absolutely loves that. As far as desserts, which I personally love Mexican desserts, they're delicious. He said tres leches cake, which if you haven't had a chance to try that, it is delicious and you should. It's basically like a moist cake, and it's absolutely incredible. Another question I asked was, how do people react to him and his family speaking Spanish out in the community? And when his family originally moved, they moved to El Paso, Texas, which was already a strong Mexican community. Like, there was a lot of Mexican people there, and so it wasn't that weird. And he said even then, or even now where he's living, where his family's living, people are pretty comfortable with hearing Spanish just because they're used to it. The final question I asked him about his Mexican culture, his family heritage, and all that was, what is your favorite aspect of your cultural background? That includes music, food, traditions, things like that. And he had to say just the bond of family. So in Mexican culture, the Mexican people celebrate something called Dia de los Muertos. He personally doesn't celebrate that, neither does his family. But the whole idea behind Dia de los Muertos is that no matter who's passed away, as long as you have stories of them and you remember them, that family's always around. So he's just very happy about the strong family orientation. They're always there for each other. They will continue to be there for each other in life and in death.